Hey guys, so this is going to be an ECW review for the 26th of May 2009, a day late as usual, so again forgive me, like in the Raw review I'm reading from notes because I watched ECW yesterday, and again forgive me, I still have this horrendous cold, so if I sound a little bunged up and nasal, I apologise. ECW this week was quite a good show actually. Not great, but not bad. It was probably better than I was expecting it to be. Some kind of odd moments though. We open with a Christian promo, which is always good. He comes out and he starts talking about Jack Swagger, and he compares Swagger to a faded reality TV star who still thinks that he's the business when other people just don't really care anymore. Which is kind of a decent analogy, given that Jack Swagger, if he were to fade into obscurity now, would be a bit of a flash in the pan, seeing as his career only really just started. But Swagger emerges and says, probably more accurately, that his time in the spotlight is just beginning, and all sorts of things like that, and says that Tiffany has granted him a rematch at Extreme Rules. But Tiffany appears and says that this is true, but it's only half true. It's only Swagger's side of the story. She says that him ruining Tommy Dreamer's ECW title match on Superstars hasn't gone unnoticed, and it'll be a triple threat match under hardcore rules between Tommy Dreamer, Christian and Jack Swagger for the ECW Championship. And Swagger says, wait, that's a day after Dreamer's contract expires, and they justify this by saying he's signed a one-day extension, and if he wins the ECW title he'll stay on. I still think that I'm very much picking Christian to win this match. I think Christian will win simply because I'm concerned that he's going to have an inevitable program against Vladimir Kozlov for the ECW title after that, which I don't want to see. I don't really see them having that program with Tommy Dreamer. I don't think it would make any sense, given the way they're pushing Vladimir Kozlov, to not have him viciously squash Dreamer, although I don't actually think he's much more able than Dreamer as a wrestler. So I think that Dreamer is going to be retired and made the new general manager, seeing as they keep referring to Tiffany as the interim general manager, implying that they're not planning on having her stay on in that role for a particularly long time. Anyway, speaking of Vladimir Kozlov, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, when Tommy Dreamer came out, when this match was announced, he came down to the ring and started doing some very odd, sort of provocative dancing, a bit like Susan Boyle. It was pretty hideous, and then he started flexing, and I was like, Dreamer, you have no muscles, don't flex, you're just fat. Anyway, speaking of Vladimir Kozlov, next we had Vladimir Kozlov, seemingly having returned to his program of squashing local athletes. Today he squashes Russ Taylor and Joey Munoz, whoever they are. And the thing about Kozlov, returning him to this program of squashing jobbers would only really, it's not acceptable, but it would only really have been acceptable if he'd used it to expand his offense, show us things we haven't seen before. But everything he's doing is all the stuff we saw him do on SmackDown for months. The headbutt battering ram, the arm lock headbutts, that hip lock takeover, no fall away slam in this match, the placing on the ropes and kicking them in the chest. What was that thing? What I thought was good was the battering ram headbutt. Whichever one of the local athletes sold it very well. A lot of spring in that, so I would give whichever one of them it was, Russ or Joey, some credit for that, making Kozlov's offense look good. And then he hit the sort of choke slam spine buster thing, which we've stated before is a crap finisher. Stryker compared Kozlov to a North Korean nuclear weapon in this match. Yeah, I don't really think North Korea are going to be much of a threat to anyone if their nuclear weapons are comparable with Vladimir Kozlov. Don't really know what everybody's worrying about. If that's the case, Matt, not really sure. Anyway, next we have a backstage segment with Christian and Tommy Dreamer saying, "You're supposed to be my friend, you disrespected me." And they start having this really gay brawl. I mean, it's just really It doesn't even look like a fight. It looks really hideously homoerotic. It's ridiculous. Like, I was cringing. It was just like, this is not what you guys intended this to look like at all. And then you have Finlay show up, and the main event of the evening is supposed to be six-man tag, Swagger and the Hart Dynasty against Finlay, Christian and Dreamer. But apparently during this brawl, Finlay sustains an eye injury, so it will be a handicap match later in the evening. Then we have the second match of the night. As usual, ECW has 3 matches. We have Evan Bourne against Mark Henry. I mean, the less I see of Mark Henry on television, the better. But, you know, I suppose I can see where they're coming from with this match. You know, at the start they were playing up the huge mismatch idea, showing different statistics of, you know, neck size, chest size, weight, and all that. This match was alright. I mean, it was the worst match I've seen Evan Bourne in a long time, but that's not his fault. He actually did quite a good job with Henry. I'd always wondered, Tony Atlas as a manager, what the point of that was and why he didn't hit more offense as an ex-professional wrestler. He did on a couple of occasions try to hit some offense against Bourne in this match, and it was just shocking. It was rubbish. Like, Tony Atlas needs to go away. Mark Henry needs to go away, but Tony Atlas really needs to go away. This match ended, you know, I was expecting it to end with a miraculous Evan Bourne managing to overcome Mark Henry and hit him with some stunning offense and pin him, but actually more realistically they had Henry on the outside and they had Bourne do that really cool sort of like, it's like the seated senton but like knees down. I really like that. I really like when he does that, and he did that to the outside on Henry, and then he springboards off Henry's back into the ring and Henry gets counted out, which is actually quite a clever finish. I like that. It was credible. I've got to be honest though, the high point of the match was some fan really loudly and really audibly going, "You're obese, Henry!" And I was like, he is obese. He's not solid muscle. They keep telling us he is. He's not. Tony Atlas turns around and is like, "He's the man! You have to remember that he's the man!" I'm like, no, he's not the man, and he is obese. Well done to whoever called that out. I give you a thumbs up. And next up we had the main event. Jack Swagger and the Hart Dynasty. They're not the Hart Trilogy anymore, apparently. They are the Hart Dynasty. I can't decide which I prefer, but anyway, Dynasty is what they're going with. It's on their Titantron. Against Tommy Dreamer and Christian. And this match was really good. I thought I might have been watching it wrong at first. I don't know why I didn't expect it to be good, but I really didn't expect it to be that good. Probably because it featured Tommy Dreamer, and Tommy Dreamer is shite. But the early going, it was a nice lengthy match, really quite long, a lot of scope for things to happen. In the early going, a lot of very cohesive tag team wrestling between Tommy Dreamer and Christian. Obviously, veterans who know really how to tag wrestle. And that was quite well done, and it meant that Tommy Dreamer was out the ring for most of the time, so you didn't really get highlighted his limitations quite so much. I was worried in the early going that it was all Swagger, because I wanted to see what David Hart Smith and Tyson Kidd can do. I was worried that Tyson Kidd didn't really get a lot of scope to do much, and he didn't really, but he came into the match a little more later, and while he didn't really get to show off his skills too much, I liked his quick, vicious heel style offense. He's good at that. The guy knows what he's doing, and he makes a very good heel. I was impressed by him. David Hart Smith I was much more impressed by in this match than I was in his match against Finlay the week before, but I was really impressed with Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger looked fantastic in this match. He's got such a great array of different throws, you know, from this amateur background, but they're really pushing it, and he really does have a lot of offense in there. It's like the kind of offense that they keep trying to tell us that Vladimir Kozlov has, but he doesn't. Swagger is a bit like Kozlov gone right. He's got all these good, powerful throws and takedowns. I was really impressed. Natalya keeps shouting, "Make him pay," all the time. Pay for what? What are you talking about? I really like Natalya as a wrestler, and I like this angle, but I find her quite irritating as a manager and valet. Maybe that'll pass, but she just kept shouting pointless things, and it was just kind of annoying. It was just shut up. Tyson Kidd is really good at selling. He sold a couple of moves in this match really well. I want to give him credit for that. And the finish of the match was good. Swagger hits the gut wrench, which I'm not totally sold on as a finisher, but I like the way he did it. He threw Christian in at the steel ring post really viciously, and obviously used it as setup for the gut wrench. I think he should probably do that every time he does the gut wrench, because it makes it a really plausible finisher. Anyway, this match was really positive. I really enjoyed it. I've run out of time, so hopefully you guys can let me know what you thought about ECW this week. I thought it was a good show. So comment, rate, subscribe, and let me know what you thought. Cheers for watching, guys. Have a good day.